When you read or listen to a sentence, your brain isn't just absorbing words, it's juggling them. The mental space where this juggling happens is called working memory. Working memory is the short-term system that temporarily holds and manipulates information while you make sense of it. It's what lets you remember the start of a sentence long enough to connect it to the end. But it's also fragile. Overloaded, and comprehension begins to collapse. Working memory is different from long-term memory. It doesn't store knowledge. It manages the immediate flow of thoughts. In language, it's responsible for keeping a few words active at once while you build meaning in real time. When the number of items exceeds your capacity, typically just a few chunks of information, the earliest parts begin to fade before they can link with what comes next. That's when sentences start to feel confusing and you find yourself rereading or losing track of who did what to whom. This limitation explains why complex grammar like subordinate clauses or heavy vocabulary can derail even advanced learners. When every phrase requires conscious decoding, the brain spends so much energy holding fragments that it has no space left for comprehension. The listener or reader understands each word individually, but cannot assemble them into coherent meaning. Native speakers unconsciously manage this load by predicting structure and grouping information into chunks. In a familiar language, working memory is supported by automized patterns. You don't hold every word, you hold ideas. But in a foreign language, those shortcuts don't yet exist. Each word demands attention, pronunciation, and recall, consuming the mental bandwidth normally reserved for understanding. This is why learners often report, I can understand slow speech, but when people talk fast, my brain freezes. The problem isn't speed, it's cognitive overflow. The more effort it takes to decode, the less space remains for comprehension. Training comprehension, then, isn't about pushing harder, but about freeing capacity. Automaticity, the ability to process familiar patterns effortlessly, expands what working memory can handle. When grammar and vocabulary become automatic, they stop occupying conscious space, allowing the mind to focus on meaning again. Shorter sentences, repeated patterns, and controlled exposure gradually train the brain to chunk information more efficiently. Working memory is the stage where language lives for a few seconds before meaning forms. When too many words compete for attention, the performance falls apart. True fluency isn't the ability to hold more words, it's the ability to hold fewer because each one already carries more meaning.